In this video, I'm going to go over the homework that we have that's due today, basically. So today being Wednesday, I'm actually recording this on Tuesday. So this problem asks us to create a program called simpleq.cpp, and it's going to implement a queue using an array. So here are the standard features we need. We need the initialize queue, the isEmpty queue, the isFull queue, the front, the back, the add queue, and the delete queue. I'm going to need two int pointers to keep track of the front and the rear, queue front and queue rear. And we're also going to need a count for when we're going to try to deal with the whole in the more complicated version. Okay. So I went ahead and drew up a simple queue here with an array in it. So this would have been an add Q3, an add Q6, and add Q2 would get us to this point. So if I need to visualize about what I'm doing, I'll be able to look at that and see. Okay. So I've gone ahead and this one I'm doing totally cold, and then I didn't do anything to program this before except this basic stuff. So this could all go very awful, but maybe that'll give you an idea of how I would problem solve. So what I've done just to get me started here, including the IO stream and the user namespace standard, as we always do, you should have comments up there, but I'm not going to do that. Comment block with your name and everything else. Okay. So in my global declarations, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up an integer for the max queue size. I'm just going to make it 100. You could make, you could allow the user to enter that, but I'm choosing not to do that. Because I'm doing this dynamically, and I think one of you had a problem with this in class, I need to declare a dynamic array. Okay, so I have to do an int star q, because remember a pointer is an array is a pointer, more or less, equals new, which will allocate the memory of an integer array the size of max q. Okay, then I can use q from there. In addition, I'm setting the Q front equal to -1, which means it's not really a thing, and then Q rear is equal to -1 because we're in the empty state. Okay. And my count is equal to 0. Okay. I'm going to use the count, hopefully, to make sure that I don't go around too much when I'm trying to add new things. Okay. So to get started here, I'm going to go to the initialize queue first. An empty queue just means that the queue front is equal to capital F front. Q front is equal to -1, and the Q rear is equal to -1. Okay. Again, we're ignoring whatever it is that's um, in the array. We're just looking at where those pointers are. Okay. The is empty queue. Okay. So if the queue is empty, it's when the Q front or the Q rear, either one, is equal to -1. Or we could also, the other way we could do it here. Let's use another variable because if we start dealing with the wraparound, that may be trouble. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to return if um, count is equal, no, not if, just return count equals 0. Okay. If count is equal to 0 is true, then it's an empty queue. If not, then it's not. Okay. So my initialize queue, I need to add this here as well, that the count is equal to 0. Okay. Is full. It's going to be based on if, or I can just return the Boolean expression count if it is, shouldn't ever be greater than, but let's just say it's greater, it should greater than or equal to, no, strictly greater than. If count is greater than the max Q. So what I call that max Q? Yeah, max Q. Okay. If the count not greater than equal to max Q, then we'll say that it's full. There's 100 elements in it. The count's equal to 100. We can't add anymore. Okay. So front and back shouldn't be too bad. Okay. So the front takes an integer and it returns whatever we find at the front position. So that's going to be just a return Q at Q front. Okay. And then the back should just be a return Q at Q rear. Okay. Um, I need to make sure first if um, not is empty. Empty Q, yes, is empty Q. Okay, because it's empty, this is not going to work. It'll try to give us something at -1, which will be an error. Okay, if it's not empty, do that. Else we have to return something. Let's just return our old friend -99. Okay. And then back, I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Because the back is going to look very similar, except it's going to be the Q rear. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the add queue again in the simple version. Now, I haven't compiled this yet, so it may all blow up. We'll just have to see. Okay, so in the initialized condition, we're at -1, -1 for both the front and the rear. Okay, so we have to be careful about that and think if that's actually what we want. Okay, because we want as we add the first element. So let's go back to our picture here and try to reason through this a little bit. Okay. And again, I normally would have done some stuff on paper first, but I didn't. So we're kind of using that. So let's go back to initial condition. So if this is at -1, that's at -1, that is 0. The max Q in our case is 12. Okay, so we've got nothing anywhere. Okay. So when I do an add Q, so let's say I do an add Q of 3 here. Okay. I'm going to increase the Q front to 0. Okay. Um, but that the Q front should start at 0. We don't increase the Q front. We only increase the Q rear by 1. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so if we initialize there, that stays the same. This will go to 0. This gets added to the 0th position. Okay, so that's there. And then if we do the add Q again, let's say 5, okay, we increase the Q rear by 1. And of course, we have to increase the count as we go as well. Okay, so the Q front, that's what I felt there was an issue with that, and that was the issue. So let's see if that's correct. Okay, so it means that when I initialize the front to a 0. Okay. And then I'm going to, for the add, then I'm going to start by saying Q rear plus plus, and then Q sub Q rear is equal to N. Okay, that should be what I do there. Okay. And then on the delete, okay, we're going to, and I didn't check to see if these are empty or not, so I have to worry about that. I'm trying to get the logic first. So the delete Q, okay, it's going to move the front up 1. Okay, so I just do a Q front plus plus. And this should be all I have to do. Okay. And then again, I'm going to say if not is empty Q, then I do this, else cout you cannot add Well, no, you can't add to an empty queue, so forget that. Oh, the full. That's what I need to do. If not is full, else see out. You cannot add to a full queue. Okay, got that. That finishes that. Okay, on the delete, we have to do the opposite and say if not is empty queue. We'll do that. Else see out. You cannot delete from an empty queue. Okay. So let's just see if this is doing anything. I've probably got 1,000 errors, some of which may be super substantial. We'll just have to see, won't we? Oh, that worries me. It worries me when I have no errors. That doesn't mean that it works. It means I don't have any errors yet. Okay, so let's then to our int main for now. Now, eventually this is going to be a .h file. It won't have an int main, but we're just going to test this out for now. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do an add queue 3 and add queue 6. I'm not dealing with count. Add queue 16. Okay, so on the add queue, I have to make sure I say count plus plus, and on the delete queue, I have to say count minus minus. Okay. And then I should be able to say cout front. And then do a delete queue. And cout front again. So the first time it should be a 3, then it should be a 6. And let me go ahead and test the rear, make sure it's working. Or is it called back? I think it's called back. Back. Yep. Okay. I'll go ahead and some adds. Yeah. Here count is now just so we can see what's happening with the count. Add it there. Add it there. Add it there. Add it after the delete key. Okay. Now let's see if we've blown something up. We did. Okay. Oh, we've got some random character on line 89, it looks like. Oh, and everyone I copied's got a weird character at the end, so that's exciting. At least I have an error now, so I feel a bit better about that. Control V down to 89. Oh yeah. I'm not even sure how you get that character, but I sure got it. That's my only problem. We'll be flying high. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's very interesting. Um, why did it not? Huh. I'm doing simple Q. Yeah, simple Q. And I'm G++ in the simple Q dot H. Okay. So why is it running the wrong program? See what my A dot out. It's not creating a new A dot out. Well, that's very interesting. I've never had it do that. I need to do something weird with a live video. Well, let's just go ahead and go. If you see any GHC files, just remove them because they're big and annoying and take up a lot of room. Um, okay, let's try this again here. Let's do a dash O, simple Q, exe. Okay, there's simple Q.exe. What? Okay, I'm doing something very wrong, and I'm not sure what. Because I'm creating a file, it should be an executable. I'm going to do that, and it doesn't create anything. Yeah, that's still from September. Is it just my file? Yeah, something with my file is not working. Okay, so look at my file again. That is, I knew it'd be some weird error whenever I tried to do this. Yeah, I don't know why it would say it was compiling, but not. Yeah, I'm confused. Oh, I think the problem, it may be the dot H. There we go. Okay. So it's not working, but at least I know why. Yeah, in order to compile it to an executable, it has to be a .cpp, not a .h. So that's what the issue is there. Okay, so it thinks we have a full queue right away, and the count is equal to 100, like off the bat. Okay, so the first thing's wrong too. So let's take a look now that we've recovered from that. Okay, so the first thing we're doing on the add queue. So when we first get started, these are what the values are. Okay, there's nothing anywhere. Okay, so all I'm calling here is the add queue. Okay. And the add queue. Okay, so it's not a full queue. Yeah, that's really weird. Let's make sure we're getting here. And add. Okay, just make sure we're actually getting to this point. Because otherwise we should be okay. Q rear should go up to 0 in this case. And Q sub Q rear should be equal to whatever we're passing in, the N. Okay. And then the count should be there. Okay, we'll try this, and if we're getting there, we'll try something different. Okay, but I need to change the correct file. We're going to be here all night. So let's go to CPP. Instead, Okay. Well, actually, I could just copy it again, which is the not the best way to do it. Okay. So now let's compile the CPP. Now let's run it. Am I getting there? I am never making it there. Okay. Let's see why. Okay. So down in main, I'm calling add queue on 3. Okay. Don't need this anymore. Oh, yes. That should be the initial count. Okay. That's fine. No, I don't care about that. Okay. Let's try it. That shouldn't cause any trouble at all, but just to be on the safe side. Okay. So it thinks it's full right away. Okay. So int count is equal to 0 right here. Okay, but it's never it okay, so it thinks that the queue is full is the trouble. Okay. So it's never because I'm guessing. Let's verify. If I move this up here, yes, we are getting there. It's a problem with our full. Okay. So is full return. Oh, see, here we go. I had a single equal sign. Okay. Which was always returning true, so it was always full. Could it be that simple? Let's see. Hopefully that mistake was useful for you to see how I solved it. Okay. No, we're better in some ways. Okay, we're in the add, the count is now 1. Okay. We're in the add, the count is now 2. We're in the add, the net count is now 3. That's good. But after that, when we go to that must be where we go to the delete. No, that's where we go to the front is having trouble. Okay. So let's see what's happening there. Hope you're still with me. It's gonna be a long video. But programming's long, and some of you need to see this. Okay, so we're saying this is okay up through here, but front is not okay. Okay, so let me just go ahead and print out here to make sure. Q0 space Q1 space Q2. Okay, I just want to make sure that my Q is getting something. Oh, need. No, that's not what I want. There we go. Okay. So it is correctly doing the 3, 6, 16. So I know that my Q, the array, is being set properly. That's okay. Okay, so I can now go back down. Okay, I don't need this anymore. I know I'm making it here. We found that problem. So now I know that I'm good down to here. It's the front where we're having trouble. Okay, let's see what the front does. The front's giving us a 0. Okay. Um, it should be returning Q of Q front. Okay, it's returning something, so I don't think it's empty, but let's just go ahead and check here. Let's say cout Q front. And while we're at it, let's cout Q at position Q front. and put something just so we know that we're not just randomly on the page. Okay, let's see what this is doing. Okay, the Q front is a -1. Why would that be? Q front is -1 initially. Oh, that's wrong. We didn't change that. Q front should have been a 0. I thought we changed that. Maybe we didn't in our changing back and forth. Let's try it now. Okay, Q front is now 0, and that's a 3, and that's a 3. And that prints a 3, which is correct, which is good. Okay, so the delete now is the problem. Okay, so that should have printed at 3, which is correct. So let's go back now. So that was the issue there. Oh, I changed it in the initialize. I didn't change it in the Q front, apparently. Who knows? You can go back and watch the video. Okay, so I think this is okay, but just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go ahead and temporarily block this out, not permanently, just to make sure. Okay. So what we're saying now is, as we go through our code, all these little bits and pieces, up to here, we're okay. Okay. It's the delete Q that messes things up. Okay. Um, the delete Q tells me that I can't delete from an empty queue. So let's see what delete Q is doing. Okay. We checked the is empty queue to make sure it's working. Um, is empty queue. The count is equal to 0. The queue is empty. Okay. So is the count keeping up? Guess that's the other question. So the count before the front, was it okay? Let's see. Counts 1, count 2, counts 3. Okay, so we're okay there. Then the count's still 3 down here, so that's okay. So for some reason, it's thinking it's in an empty queue when we go to do that delete. Okay, so that's a different issue. So at least we'll know what to look for there. Okay, so this is empty queue. Looks like it's okay. The count is okay. So the delete queue is where we're having some unhappiness. Okay. So when we're here and we delete Q, okay. Oh, there we go. See, forgot to put the brackets there, but that was it. Yeah, we're good now. Prints the front and the rear. Okay, so we got it. Okay, so that worked. So I was calling is empty queue. It should have given me an error message, but it didn't. Who knows why? But yeah, that was the issue. Okay, so that's the simple version working, right? You probably want to, for a 10-point program, you would want to make your output a little more instructive. So I would know that it was working rather than you knowing it yourself. Okay, so that's that. Now let's think about what we have to do if we want to do the wraparound. Okay, and in fact, actually, I'm not going to do that because this video is long enough as it is. So we can quickly theorize about that a little bit. Okay. Think about that. Okay. So let's look at this situation where we are. Okay. So if we're there, whatever we've got doesn't matter. Okay. But we've deleted things. So let's say our Q front is here. Okay. And our rear is currently there. Okay. So our Q front is 2. And our Q rear is 11. Okay. The count would then be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Would be 10. Okay. So if I were going to add Q again on something else, let's say 33, doesn't matter. Okay. So again, what we're saying is that these two are um, not really there. There's still something there, but we don't care what it is. Okay. So what we have to check here, things we have to be careful of. So we want to get the modulo here. Okay. So I want to say the Q rear plus 1 mod 12. Okay. Because that's my max length. Okay. So if I do that, that's going to get me to be the 0 that we want. And then we can set the Q rear now becomes 0. And we add the 33 there. That didn't do what it was supposed to do. Don't know why. Boom, that did it. Okay. And now we're okay. Okay. So the Q front is 2, the Q rear is 0. Okay. And that's okay. And we would only have trouble if we would do that again and add one more, that would be fine. Okay. Oh, then our count will go up to 11. We have to use that count to make sure if the count's 12, then we can't do that. Okay. We have to delete something first. Okay. So I think that's the thinking you need in order for that to work. Okay. So that's going to take care of it for this. We're going to end this video now. Hopefully this is helpful. I made some mistakes because you do, right? No one's perfect. So by making the mistakes, I was able to solve them. And this is what I do. I put in print statements. I look at what it's saying. If it's saying that I'm not getting to this statement, and then is MTQ must be true at that point. Okay. So you can work back to see what's going on. Okay. So hopefully this is helpful. If it's not, you need to ask some questions for sure.